Hi, I'm Becky Parker Geist. I am the host of Audiobook Connection podcast. I'm also the president of Bay Area Independent Publishers Association and the CEO and founder of Pro Audio Voices and Amplify Audiobooks, providing audiobook and podcast production, distribution, and marketing. Today, I get to talk with David Beaumier of Chanticleer Reviews. David is also an author, and we'll talk about that as well. David, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Becky.
So here you are in the actually a really important part of the publishing industry, and I'm always curious what the journey was like. Where did you get started? What attracted you to publishing in the first place?
Well, I want to pull a Dickinson and say first I was born, or Dickens, but I really have always loved writing. Straight out of college, I did an internship back in 2014, actually, with Chanticleer Book Reviews and Media, where I now work. And I was just like a shipping and receiving goblin back at that time. And I got into freelance editing for a local publisher, and I had to, go find other jobs that paid more than an internship, of course.
Hmm.
And from there, I was at Village Books and Paper Dreams, which is our local bookstore here in Bellingham, Washington, and I was the assistant publishing director there. And that gave me a whole lot of experience in helping authors get published and indie publish their work in particular. Village Books still to this day has a wonderful guided program and not enough staff to make it as fabulous as it could be.
No.
But they're a wonderful organization. And then after I got my master's degree at Western, I got a call back from Chanticleer and they said, "It seems like you've been doing pretty good for yourself. Do you want another job?" And I said, "Let's do it."
Oh,
And so
awesome.
I've been there for the last 5 years now.
Awesome. And now you are communications and marketing director.
Manager tech,
Oh, manager. Okay,
but
manager.
I gotta watch out for my boss, otherwise she'll think I'm bucking for another pay raise.
Awesome. And now I understand you also just released a book. Is this your first book?
This is my debut collection. It's a debut
Beautiful.
collection of short stories, is the way I've been phrasing it. Because when I have a novel come out, I want to say it's my debut novel and keep as much of that debut energy as I possibly can.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, the book is called The Morning Fields. It's a collection of modern Greek myths, essentially, that take these ancient tales, put them into our current setting, and sort of look at the suffering that we all go through and see how we can make it through to the other side.
Oh, wow. And for those who are experiencing this podcast on video, why don't you go ahead and hold up your cover so we can see it? And I'll just point out for our listeners that morning is spelled Mourning, The Morning Fields by David Beaumier. So very good. And
Nonetheless,
how's that? You just recently launched that. Is that right?
that came out about 2 weeks ago. We had the launch party. We sold out the 100-person readings gallery at Village Books. The first print run sold out entirely. We ordered another chunk of 50 books, and that sold out within about 2 or 3 days. It will be here in a little over a week. And so we already have a third print run that's coming right on its heels. I'm a little overwhelmed, to be honest, with how wonderfully kind and supportive the community has been. I've been getting a few good reviews, which has been really nice. And I even have gotten a spam email trying to sell me things. So that is how I know I have truly arrived.
Right. That we certainly get a lot of those as authors. Um, and, not everyone yet knows about Chanticleer Reviews and the kind of work that you do there. Would you fill in our listeners on, you know, what what you're up to at Chanticleer Reviews and how authors can benefit from, getting connected with your company?
Absolutely. Chanticleer was founded back in about 2013, and it was really as a response to this huge outgrowth of independent authors and small presses that were looking for ways to market their books, and they could not find those ways through traditional routes. Now, traditional places like Kirkus Reviews have now figured that out, and they are working with more people, which is wonderful. But Chanticleer was there first in a lot of ways when it came to supporting independent authors. Our two main services are our book awards program, where people can compete against other people in a genre in their same genre, and we do regular promotion for that. I do hear anecdotally at conferences that people see a little sales boost when their book is available. We do take manuscripts as well. You don't see a sales boost on manuscripts, as one might expect. The other big thing, of course, is we do book reviews. We review regular print books, audiobooks, which is how we met you,
Hmm.
and children's books. We also have a full suite of editorial editing services, which I absolutely adore. They're our best kept secret. The price is right. The service is really excellent. I read through everything that we edit, and I'm astounded by what our people put out every single time. But yeah, our main goal is supporting independent authors and making sure that the books that might not be discovered really get their fair shot.
Oh, that's great. And I know that for a lot of really what should be all authors, really are eager and are attentive to the need for reviews. So tell us a little bit more about both what you offer in terms of those reviews. And of course, we're especially interested in the audiobook reviews. But of course, most audiobooks also have a print or text edition as well. And so that's valuable information for our listeners as well. Um, yeah, a little bit more about the review program, and then also what kinds of things. I know that you guys are up to some really interesting things to help those books, those authors that you have reviewed books for, to help them get that word out and to really use those reviews, because that is an area that is really, can be very challenging for authors. Help us out with that.
Okay. 100%. So the review is one of your number one tools when it comes to marketing your book and selling it. What we do, this is not everything I'm about to say is not the tools. This is just what we are doing to support you. Children's books are a little smaller, but our audio and standard reviews are 450 words minimum. That is the start. We don't go below that. I know a lot of other places have smaller reviews. We focus on that because that is a good amount of space for you to find blurbs, for you to have an actual assessment of your book and hear about what is working in that book. We try to make sure there are at least three blurbable lines in every single review. Blurbable is a word you have to practice saying in front of a mirror, but you get it, you figure
Yeah,
it out.
yeah.
We post that review after having the author review it. We want to make sure that it's something that fits in with their vision. When you're a historical fiction author, there is usually something that maybe you really wanted in the review that maybe they didn't see, and we want to make sure that it shows up for you. We post that to our high traffic website. We push it out on all our social media. On Facebook, we do our very best to find and tag you if you have an account on the social media platform. We send it out in our regular newsletter that has a really great open and follow rate. Newsletters are one of the best things you can do as an author and as a company that helps authors market themselves.
Right.
We also have marketing kits that go out. These include our free promotional stickers. It includes a little write up of your book that you can hang at your local bookstore right in front of your books. We call them shelf talkers. And we also send you your book on our own letterhead. That's a great way for you to use it in a portfolio, asking for it to be consigned, asking for an agent to consider it, asking for a library to hold on to it. Those are the things that we are actively doing. What we love to see authors doing with this incredibly powerful tool is mark down all the blurbable lines that you get from your review. Anything that you can use to sell that book, write it down, put it in a Word document. I got my book reviewed by Chanticleer. I have 5 lines that I could use. One of them, I asked, I said, this one here looks like we could polish it into a blurb, and they're like, yeah, absolutely, we'll do it. So
Yeah.
I can say they're easy to work with, which is maybe a little weird because I do work there, but I'm not the one who handles the reviews.
Yeah.
Um, but I have those all saved in a Word document called blurbs. I've got another editorial review and then author blurbs, and I have them all in there. And I cycle through those when I use them in my marketing on social media. The other place that I put them is on my Author Central in my editorial review section on Amazon. I think Goodreads also has an editorial review section. They might pull that from Author Central. I'm not 100% sure. Anywhere you can do one on your website. And my recommendation to authors frequently is pick a different blurb for each space. Oftentimes when someone says, David, where do you work? And I tell them about Chanticleer, they say, I don't understand. And I say, well, it's sort of like Kirkus book reviews. And they look at me and they say, what's that?
Uh,
Because unless you're in the writing industry,
yeah.
these things are Greek. You don't know what they are. And so you can use multiple blurbs from the same review, even attributing it to Chanticleer reviews the entire time. People see it as fresh, they see it as new. And if once a month, once a quarter, you go through and you rotate which blurb is where, that reinvigorates your search engine optimization. It tells all those sites that you are actively participating and keeping those up to date. Obviously, sharing the reviews on your own social media platforms is great. Linking them in newsletters is a wonderful way to go. You can always be using these and calling back to them. And they're just sort of endlessly mineable marketing materials.
That is such great advice. And that is the first time I have heard that kind of advice coming, about how to use reviews. Um, I also know from my own experience as an author that getting a review does not, like, from a place like Kirkus, they're not going to necessarily make any effort to provide a blurbable phrase, which is
Yeah,
challenging. So I think it's great. I think it's really great that you guys at Chanticleer are, have that attention, put on the needs of the author as you're writing your content.
another sort of critical thing that I feel that we do is we work so hard to pair your book with someone who is a target reader for you.
Mhm.
We have a lot of contractors and we are always sending them books and they read from a variety of spaces. I remember I was looking for a comparison of a positive Kirkus review to use recently, and I thought, what's the last book I read that I just know is killing it on the market? It's doing really well. And I looked up The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, which is an extremely popular romantasy book right now. And the person who reviewed it for Kirkus very clearly wanted Lord of the Rings. They did not
Mm,
want sexy dragons. Um, and they reviewed it and said this was not high fantasy. And that was essentially the review. And a review, you can leave a million reviews for any book about what it is not.
right.
But you can
Absolutely.
only do one review about what it is.
Yeah.
And, Kirkus is notoriously hard to work with when it comes to you didn't feel like the reviewer, and they're a bread and butter good company. I'm not trying to say don't
Yeah.
do them. I think I understand and I think they're wonderful. But it's very difficult to get them to redo a review. You have no sorts of appeal process. We are a company that really values our authors and their voice. And it's not a very frequent thing that we need to redo a review, but we have redone reviews at our own expense when authors really ask for it.
Hmm.
And that's critical to us.
Yeah.
We really think that it's important that this works out and it connects with the author. And sometimes, the second review, the author sort of has to say, okay, well, two people have looked at this and maybe I need to go back to the editing board with this.
Right.
That does not happen too terribly often. Usually the second person we've had a little more calibration. Almost always the first one is a good fit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And for our listeners, so David and I met at the Pacific Northwest Writers Association conference where we were neighbors at our
Hmm.
vendor tables, and I learned that one of the things that you offer that I was not aware of was your the Roost. Tell us about the Roost and what's
Gosh,
that all about and what's going on there?
I'm so glad you asked. I never get to talk about the Roost, and so I forget about it because people don't ask enough. The Roost is our membership program, and it is my absolute. I'm this is such a I no one who's listening to this can come, but I'm throwing a mini conference in place of the Surrey Writers Conference, which was canceled just because I was like, we
Oh,
can't
right,
have
yeah,
nothing. And so it's just a local
yeah,
thing here in Bellingham. And my thought is this will bring in Roost members because we can get more people who are excited about community and
yeah.
people who are excited about working together and hearing each other's voices. The Roost is our private membership program where we try to focus really strongly on fostering community. We have two weekly write-ins Usually we have a little bit of conversation at the beginning and end. People can ask questions about what they're working on. They can ask questions about what's happening at Chanticleer right now. I get a lot of questions about the conference that we host in April. They can pull up their current book cover design and ask us about it, and we'll all give feedback. We do a monthly all hands on deck meetup where we pick a subject and we talk about it. This upcoming one is going to be this Thursday. Again, too soon on the books for anyone listening to come, but we're going to talk about how to sell books beyond your circle of influence. Meaning, I talked about how with my book I was so overwhelmed by the generous community response of 100 people showing up for it. That for me is me selling the books on my merit, not necessarily selling it on my book's merit. And
Mhm.
so I'm really excited about this conversation talking about how do we sell beyond ourselves, beyond the people who we know.
Yeah.
We also do semi-regular happy hours. We do every other month we do a recorded workshop, and we're building a library of recorded materials for people to look at. And then, of course, like a social media page, you can post whatever you need anytime. We've got one person who shares, scams he comes across pretty regularly.
Mm. Yeah.
We've had people who share about information. I've sent them your information, Becky. I think we should probably, as I say all this, we should have you on the Roost for one of our workshops. It would
Yeah.
be wonderful to have you there.
I would love to do that. And this is actually one of the things that, just really has made it, as we were getting to know each other a little bit, made it so clear to me that we're very much in alignment because we are also very community focused. Like, how can we, what are the systems and ways in which we can bring people together and support people in a setting that builds this community aspect. So I'm so thrilled that you're doing that, and I would love to be a guest over there, and to figure out, maybe there are more ways that we can collaborate and help our communities develop. I'll just say before we take a short break that this is one of the key aspects of the new upcoming. Uh, it's not really a relaunch so much as in some ways it's just like the new version of Amplify audiobooks, but there's so many new aspects to it, and it'll be on its own website as well. So it'll have a web app, which we don't currently have. We just have the mobile app, but also the main thing is all these community features where people can share their thoughts, their reflections as they're listening to an audiobook. And if they want to share those within the Amplify audiobooks community, that's an option. And then others can see and what other listeners are thinking about and asking about, and authors can participate in those ways. And so, that's a way that we're going to be helping to build community. So I just want to take a short pause, and then we're going to come right back and continue to talk with David. Would you like to earn more from your audiobook sales? If you're an author with an audiobook, you may have noticed that royalties from Audible especially, and other platforms as well, are frankly kinda pathetically low, disappointingly low, and unfairly low considering what it cost you in effort and resources to create it. How is it the retailers are the ones making all the money off your work and investment? As someone who started in the audiobook industry in 1981, I've found it frustrating that authors keep getting shortchanged. The good news is that Pro Audio Voices just launched Amplify Audiobooks, a direct sale audiobook platform for authors that puts you back in the driver's seat. Earn 65% of the gross sales price that you set. Compare that to the percentage of the percentage that retailers give. Run promotions on schedule whenever you want. Create coupon codes. Build community with your customers, since you'll know who they are and how to contact them. Work with a caring, responsive, supportive team to help you succeed all along the way. Get help with marketing. Get paid weekly. We're helping audiobook authors who are frustrated by painfully low royalties and the barriers that prevent them from managing their own products and customers. Amplify Audiobooks is a direct sale platform that enables authors to earn much higher royalties and have way more control. We're disrupting the audiobook industry by putting authors first. Get started today at proaudiovoices.app or go to proaudiovoices.com and click on the Distribution Amplify link. Join the movement. Now that we're back, I just wanted to ask, tell us just a little bit more about your writing journey for yourself as you've been in the publishing industry for a while now. And I know from my own experience, I've, put off a lot of my writing and, because I'm busy helping other people with their writing and their audiobooks. Tell us a little bit about what was it that inspired you to take this step of doing this first publication? Let's start there.
Gosh, I feel like I can tell this backwards or forwards, and I think backwards is maybe the easiest way to do it. And that is, I ran a writing group for a little more than 7 years at Village Books, and it was an open writing group. And anyone who has ran an open writing group knows that you get everyone shows up. I think the biggest we had was about 24 people, and we could do 4 authors a meeting, and we met twice a month. So you took your time getting through that group. One of the people who joined has become a very good friend, and he is a publisher. And he loved the stories that I wrote, and he said, "I'd really be interested if you're not doing anything with those. I think we should." He's like, "I've got an advance ready for you today. Let's do it."
Wow.
So that's sort of the easy answer of like what inspired me was I had a dear friend who said, "Let's go for it."
Yeah.
When it comes to the writing of the book, the stories, which is the hard part, right? The
Right.
sitting
Yeah.
down button chair time. Um, I feel I also dance Argentine tango, and with tango and with writing, those are things that I need to do, or I will go insane.
Mm.
I can't, when I don't do it, I've been doing a lot of marketing for the morning fields, and it's getting to me that I haven't been doing my own writing. I've been doing marketing writing, which is not the same space I want to occupy.
Right.
Um, the name the morning fields in the Greek afterlife refers to the place where people who pursue unrequited love in bad faith are sent. And I think whenever I tell that to someone, they sort of have this look in their eyes, and I'm like, you are thinking of somebody that you know in your life. And I know a lot of, being a dance teacher and working with writers, I've met a lot of people who pursue love in the wrong places sometimes and maybe very poorly. And I think we all have these experiences of very dear friends and ourselves who have been harmed in some great and deep way. And for me, dance and writing are the ways that I help myself process and move through those things. And one of these stories in here is particularly cathartic for me as the author. And I'm just lucky that one, as well as all the others, made for good reading.
Mm.
Um, it's not often that your therapy projects work like that.
Yeah.
And in this case, I feel pretty good about it. And that's sort of so that you have the early answer is someone asked to publish it. The long answer is I had to put a voice to when someone is hurt in your life, it obsesses you.
Yeah.
And I think that the best writing comes from things that obsess us
Mm.
because we really want to put it down. Some people are obsessed about baking, and they write wonderful cookbooks or wonderful cozy adventures, and I love that. And I had to get through these things that had happened to me and my friends.
Yeah. So did you have already these, so you said that are these based on myths, or are these like new myths, if you will?
These are all based on myths, but you don't have to know. One of my friends who recently reviewed the book on Storygraph, thank you. Storygraph's a great place, great alternative to Amazon and Goodreads. She said, I don't know any of the myths, but I still really liked the stories.
Mm.
the myths are there as as inspiration, as my personal experience is there as
Hmm.
inspiration,
Hmm.
but they don't appear directly on the page. One of the earliest ones I wrote, just as a spoiler and sneak preview, was called Hera, and in it, this woman's husband begins to cheat on her, and the way she can tell is whenever he does it, part of him turns to plastic. And she's very fascinated by this, and she's like, "This is terrible and weird." And then one of his paramours, dies by accident in a car wreck, and part of him turns back to plastic. And so she goes to a pawn shop and gets a gun, and she starts following him to where he goes, and she's gonna get her husband back, and he's gonna be a nice fleshy boy. And that is obvious, never does Hera, and Hera punishes all of Zeus's paramours when
Yeah,
she can find them, and
right.
it's horrifying.
Yeah,
And for me, that was sort of the equivalent of today of a horrifying thing of what do you do when you love someone so much but you don't want to leave, and
yeah,
like you can't leave
yeah. W
anyway.
have you always been intrigued by mythology? Some people just like never, they just don't even encounter it. Like it's not introduced to them in school and they just like, it's kind of outside their realm. But this is obviously something that you've been sitting with. So where did that come in for you?
I think my first mythology book was maybe Edith Hamilton's mythology, which is very popular in some high school English classrooms. I don't remember too terribly much of it, weirdly. But what really got me inspired with mythology was Dante's Inferno.
Um,
I really was into that. And, Dante is deeply inspired by the Greeks, of course. He's got Virgil, who is the writer of the Aeneid, where the morning fields is first mentioned, is his guide through hell. And you talk about Apollo's light and how far you are from it. There's all these Greek references within the Inferno. And that was something that was very exciting to me in a lot of ways. My first trilogy that I wrote was a YA retelling of the Divine Comedy. It's not going to see the light of day, but I learned a lot writing it.
hmm.
And I found that, just as I went through school and I was exposed to more and more myths, there were some that really stuck with me and some that where I thought, gosh, what would that look like today? How
Yeah,
would we put that in? And where would the connections be?
yeah,
And I got really, really excited about that.
yeah, cool. I don't, have you ever had the opportunity to see Hades Town?
Love it. I've seen it
Oh,
twice.
yeah.
It's so good.
I worked on it as assistant prop designer off Broadway at New York Theater Workshop, and oh my God, what an amazing experience that was. So, yeah,
That is I'm a little bummed because I had finished all of these before I got into Hades Town,
yeah.
and there would have been a reference for sure. There's a video game called Hades, and Hades 2 just came out,
Oh,
and I've got an Ares and Aphrodite story, and Aphrodite is just like the physical parameters is just Aphrodite from the video game because I thought it was so cool. But yeah,
amazing.
I
Yeah.
love Hades Town. What a beautiful, what a magical show.
Yeah, I think it's still one of my very favorites that I have
Yeah.
experienced, and I've seen some really great theater and worked on some really great theater. So,
I would
it's
believe. I
amazing.
bet you've got some good stories. We gotta
Yeah.
next time we're in town together, we're
We'll
gonna go
talk
out for a
theater.
drink.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
good. Sounds good. Tell our listeners, if you would, a little bit about, where they can learn more about your work at Chanticleer. Like, what's the Chanticleer website? What's the best way for them to sort of start their exploration?
Sure. I'm sure that you'll have this linked somewhere in the show
Hmm.
notes, but Chanticleer is Chanticleer. That's how you spell Chanticleer.
Yeah.
I did that without looking at anything, which I think is very impressive. And so it's shantyreviews.com is our website. You can type in chanticleerreviews.com. That will redirect to us.
Hmm.
That's where you find us. We are on almost all social medias, Facebook, Blue Sky, Tumblr somehow, LinkedIn, of course. I think we're on Mastodon somewhere. The chief technical officer handles most of those.
Yep.
Most of those ones. I look a lot at Facebook, Blue Sky, and LinkedIn. Those are the three that I love the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah.
We have a newsletter, of course. I love the newsletter. I put it together 3 times a week. Of course, whatever you sign up for is what you'll get information on. Where
Mhm.
I really love to use the segmentation there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the main place to find us. It's just on our website or look us up on social media. You do sometimes have to get through the beautiful San Francisco choir, the Chanticleers, to find us.
Right.
But if you do
Yes.
Chanticleer book reviews, you will
Hmm.
find us.
Great. And then your event in April of 2026. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit more about that. And
I
like,
would love to.
yeah,
Oh my gosh,
fill us
you
in.
have the best questions. The Chanticleer Authors Conference. This, I believe, will be our 14th annual conference, which I'm very proud of. We host that here in Bellingham, Washington. We are typically a pretty small group of dedicated people who are experienced authors or people who are just ready to become the experienced author. Our primary focus is on marketing and technology. There are some craft classes, but our primary thing is what is the newest thing happening with BookBub? What is the newest thing happening with audiobooks? I'm very excited for you to come up and
Yeah.
hopefully present at the conference this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Um, we have had people like Maggie Marr and Scott Steindorf present, but the book to screen element is another big one.
Hmm.
Maggie Marr helped out she was the book to screen agent for Game of Thrones. Scott Steindorf's most recent project that I'm aware of is Station 11, but that one's a little old now, so I have to look up what he's doing now. But we go to all these conferences around the country, and oftentimes they're very busy, as you know.
Yeah.
Hundreds, if not thousands, of people are there.
Right. Right.
And we meet these people who've been brought in and said, how would you like to be at something that's the opposite of all this, where you can meet everyone, you can really connect, and you can form a lasting friendship that will
Yeah.
mean something year after year, and then you can join them online in a private community and connect with them there.
Yeah.
And they just say, we'd love to be there. Like,
Yeah.
when is it? Let's go.
Yeah. That's great.
And
That's
it's a
great.
delight. I
Yeah.
really, I really love our conference. One thing that's good to know as well is we announce our book award winners at the conference, and so we have our big banquet hoopla. It's a blast.
Awesome. Yeah.
Every year, just watching the joy that comes over people's face, um, recognizing the incredible work that people send to us. One of my favorite things is when people say, I need a book recommendation. And I'm tired of all these books that, people always say, read ACOTAR, read, this, thing that everyone's already heard of. The number of incredible books that really deserve the spotlight that I
Yeah.
can tell people about is a gift.
Yeah. Absolutely. And which weekend is it in April?
It is currently scheduled for the weekend of April 18th, which is, I think, the third. Hold on.
That
Oh,
sounds
sorry,
right.
17th, 18th, and 19th is the
Okay.
current one.
Great.
We typically have some a la carte master classes. We provide meals while you're there. And then on Sunday, our local bookstore, Village Books, which I cannot say enough good things about, hosts a book fair where we have all the authors come in. We take over the stores. We usually have 5 tables and we do rotating seats where people come through. We used to host the book fair at the hotel where we have the conference,
Yeah.
and it's hard to get people out to a hotel, but on a beautiful Sunday morning, early afternoon,
Hmm.
people come out to a bookstore,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
it's been really good. I'm so excited to have a book that I can bring this year to the book fair.
Yeah, that's great. And speaking of your book, tell us your book or your author website. And why don't you hold up your book one more time for those who are watching us on video? There we go. The
There
Morning
we go. There it
Fields.
is.
Yeah.
My author website is going to be davidbeaumierwrites.com. No one take it, please. I need to secure it. But I have a Facebook page right now that is
Okay.
David Beaumier Writes.
Okay.
And so that's the main place. I did things a little out of order. I've got a newsletter that is also David Beaumier Writes. You can find it on my Facebook page. I do not send out 3 newsletters a week for that. Um, but it's just a treat to have this book. I'm really lucky to have the people, including the Chanticleer community, of course, who surround me and help and support me with this.
That's great. Well, David, I want to thank you so much for being here. I'm going to encourage our listeners to listen to this episode again, especially the part where you were talking about the tips on how to use those reviews. Really excellent information, and to check out Chanticleer Reviews and your book. David, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me, Becky.